Hello and welcome back to Random Tek. Today in the year 2024, we are going to be attempting to use dial-up internet and create a wireless network with it. Why? Because it's random. First, we are going to need to find an internet service provider, ISP, that actually still offers a dial-up service. I ended up going with dialupforless.com, which services both the USA and Canada. They have a few different plans you can select, but since I'm pretty much going to use this once, I selected the one-time vacation plan, which is 1 month of unlimited time at $25 plus a one-time $10 sign-up fee. After signing up and creating a username and password, I received confirmation that my account was ready to use within the same day. Now to find a local access number to dial into, which thankfully they list a lot of. With that taken care of, on to the next step of actually connecting to the service. We are going to first use an external USB modem. There are quite a few companies that produce these, but I decided to go with the well-known US Robotics USR 5637 modem. If you are using a Windows computer, any OS, even the current Windows 11, should work with the correct drivers installed. If you are using a Mac, as in my case, it seems you would need a computer running Mac OS 10.12 or earlier, as starting in Mac OS 10.13, High Sierra, support for dial-up modems has been discontinued. So I will be using 10.9 Mavericks for this. From this point, it's a relatively straight process of installing the USB modem driver and then going into System Preferences to set it up correctly. In my case, I needed to go into Advanced Settings to make sure the correct driver was being used. Then I entered in my username and password, which I created earlier on dialupforless.com, and a local access number. Click and connect, you can see the modem come to life, with the data light flashing green. On the OS, you can see on the top toolbar that it is attempting to connect. After a little while, we got in. Now let's test loading our web page to make sure it is actually working. My go-to is typically the Google search homepage, as it is simple to load and works on pretty much everything. It may not look like it, but the page is actually loading very slowly, as seen on the top bar. I actually double-checked during this process that I was indeed still connected to the internet and the connection wasn't dropped. This one simple page took 1 minute and 52 seconds to load. So we have dial-up internet working, but that isn't the main point of this video. It's to make a wireless dial-up network. On Mac OS, this is very simple. We simply go back into System Preferences, click on Sharing, and then go to the Internet Sharing section. You can see that we are going to share our connection from the USB modem and broadcast it to other computers using our built-in Wi-Fi chipset. You may have to set up a network name and password, but otherwise that's it. So let's test it out. Using any modern device, select the network you just made, and you should be able to connect, though it may take a little while to establish a connection. I'm testing it out on my iPhone 13 Pro. You can see it connect and attempt to reload the mobile Google search page. However, this was unbelievably slow. So much so that I ended up giving up on this process. Though I'm sure with enough patience, this would work, but at what cost? So let's try something else now. This is the first generation Apple AirPod Extreme, which is often called the UFO version. What makes this so unique is that this router actually has a dial-up modem inside, which will automatically broadcast the dial-up signal when connected. I had never used this before, so I was very interested in the process. You can see on the back of it, from left to right, an external antenna connection, a reset button, an Ethernet in port, followed by an Ethernet out port, then the dial-up modem port, a USB port used for printer sharing over the network, and finally the power port. Setting this device up was a little bit more of a challenge since it was discontinued. I initially tried on my more up-to-date MacBook Pro, and surprising enough, it does show up and looks like it is attempting to connect but fails with the message, "This version of AirPod Utility does not support this base station." Trying on my iPhone, I end up with similar results. It turns out that to set up this device, you need AirPod Utility 5.6 or earlier. Now, interestingly enough, if you are using Windows, this app should work with the latest OS. However, for Macs, we are limited to 10.7 Lion or before. Otherwise, setting it up through the utility is straightforward. Just enter your username and password for the dial-up ISP as before and configure your network settings. Once done, you can see on the top bar that the AirPod Extreme is already attempting to connect to the internet via the dial-up modem. Once completed, we can again connect to it via any modern device. I tried to do a speed test via speedtest.net, but the page seemed to just hang no matter how long I left it. So I attempted via Google Next, and well, it kind of worked. We managed to get 0.02 megabits per second, equivalent to 20 kilobits per second, before encountering an error. Wow, so fast. So let's test how long it takes to load a moderately heavy web page. We will be trying Apple's homepage. After 3 minutes and 42 seconds, the page has loaded. I still wanted to see if I could get a more accurate data speed, so I attempted to use the speedtest.net mobile app, but again I got a timeout error. It seems from here that all that is left to do is go back and disconnect the modem to free up the phone line again. So in summary, yes, you can in theory use dial-up internet in the year 2024, and in fact create a wireless network with it. But there would literally be absolutely no purpose to it. Even back in the day, when dial-up was much more prevalent, I questioned who would create a wireless network with it, as every device trying to use it would just slow down the limited bandwidth to an unusable speed. And as a side, just to compare to my actual cable internet connection, that's about a 9,350 times difference. That concludes another video. Let me know in the comments if you have ever used a wireless dial-up network back in the day and how it worked for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.